first I'm going to introduce Mayor Khalid. And,
Dr. Mayor Khalid.
Dr. Mayor Khalid, correct. Yes. They'll give you a moment to speak. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And I would like to take this opportunity and welcome our special guest, Tudor Dixon. Thank you so much for coming to join us today to visit Hamtramck. I had an interview with her maybe a year and a half ago, and we agreed that she should visit Hamtramck. It took that long until we got, these circumstances that require that we all have to get together and work to accomplish our common goal now, which is to send President Trump back to the White House. I just came from my office in the City Hall, and as you know, the election is going on now. Early voting, and the City Hall is packed.
Yes!
So many people voting.
Red ticket.
I saw a lot of friends, which I trust that they're supporting us, but also we want everyone to go out and vote. This is it's not enough to go out and vote. You have to take with you some people, your family members, everyone.
Your grandfather.
This is a historic moment, and this is a new era for us. The shifting dynamics that's happening here is historic, and it's got the attention of everyone, because we cannot be on the margins of history anymore. For the other side, negligence was the norm. We had, nobody recognized us before. Nobody even reached out to us to ask for support, which means they thought that we cannot make a change. But now, my endorsement did not only echo here in Hamtramck, even Wayne County, Michigan, and other states as well. A lot of people are very supportive to us. And I got some people who sent me the ballot from other states. They are very proud. This is historic, and the fact that we have Republican elected and appointed officials to visit our city, which is a stronghold of Democrats, historically, this is a big thing. The disconnect between us and the Republican Party has to end, because it resulted in the misunderstanding, the distrust, the stereotyping of some people, and the fear, that the Democrats used to deliver to our community, that these people hate you, they don't want you, they will come and deport you. This is not true. I found that they are very nice people, and they are saying the same thing about us. You heard President Trump, he said, these people are great, they are the warmest people I ever met.
He loves us.
So now, this is a new era, like I said. We are in the trust building stage, and I think we don't have to wait 40 years like we did with the other side to get what we want. We are seeing positive outcomes from day one. Who thought that President Trump would come to Hamtramck?
Nobody.
I have a direct contact now with him. This line of communication is a big accomplishment for us. Whenever he does something, we contact him. If we don't like it, he will change. He will listen to us. In the past, we used to go out and protest. Nobody ever heard or listened to us. Now, as you remember, we had, when we celebrated the opening of this office, there was a mistake by pointing something negative about Yemen in Pennsylvania. I protested. President Trump took it seriously, and he came to here and he made a video specifically for us, for the Yemeni people. And then since that time, he removed Yemen from his speeches. He will still talk about the other countries. He does not mention Yemen, because we told them clearly that there hasn't been any act of terrorism or violence committed by a Yemeni American citizen in the history of the United States. So we are the victims of some proxy war in Yemen. Our country is hijacked by some militia supported by regional powers, So he understands that. We talked extensively about that. So now, we were with him 2 days ago in Dearborn. It wasn't in the plan that we go to Warren. I wasn't going to Warren. And he told me, you have to come with us in the motorcade with us.
Wow, you took us in the motorcade.
And it's
Wow,
smoking, this is something big for us.
It's never
So I
happened.
think we will use this new line of communication and channel of communication with the highest elected figure, in the country, and with the Republicans to end that disconnect and we focus on what unites us. There is so much that unites us, so we have to focus on that and rise above what divides us. And as you know, we lost the support of the Democrats in this city, so we are having now a new ally that come to support us. We share so much, values, family and faith, and that's what matters. We know that we cannot change much in the strategic foreign policy of the United States, but focus on our priorities here for us and our kids and our families, and we got a new ally who share so much with us. So with that, I would like to welcome our guest, Tudor Dixon, maybe our future governor.
Thank you all for letting me come here today. Honestly, this is probably the most exciting day that I've had in the state of Michigan so far. And it all started 2 years ago when I think it was about 5 gentlemen were brave enough to come to one of our rallies at the end of the campaign. And I'll never forget that day because afterward they came up to me and they said, "We were told by the Democrats, don't go to a Republican rally. They won't treat you very well. They will treat you horribly." They said, "But we stood in the back of the room and we heard you talking about making sure that schools are teaching kids to read and write, making sure that parents have rights, making sure that girls are protected." And we thought, man, we really agree with these things. They're saying things that we agree with. And then they asked a question and the people around them were like, "Oh, we totally agree with you. We're so glad you're here." They said, "We were told that we would be attacked if we came. But the people even around us that day were welcoming to us." I think the Republican Party has changed a lot over the past 8 years. It has become a party that's listening, a party that is able to be corrected. And as the mayor was saying, thank you for having me here today. As the mayor was saying, when something isn't right, he can sit down and talk to him. And as I walked in, one of the gentlemen here mentioned that I had some comments in the past that we're not welcomed in this community about the hijab. And I will tell you that when I was running, there was concern about this. And Khalil Hoffman said, "Come and sit down with our leaders. They want to talk to you about this." And I think it was such a poignant moment because it was a moment where I realized that there was a mainstream media that was telling me something that was wrong, and I needed to question things before I believed them. And I was so grateful for the opportunity to sit down and hear, look, this is something important to us. And just as I want to be able to wear this around without somebody yelling at me, I want you to be able to share your faith and to show your faith. That's what it is. And I want us to protect that. And that's what Donald Trump wants. He wants that to be protected because he has seen that this new Democrat Party, as I said, the Republican Party has changed. The Democrat Party has changed as well. They are now the party that says they do not accept religion of any sort. We've seen it as Christians. We've been attacked as Christians. If you want to practice your faith, suddenly you're a Christian nationalist and there's something bad. And we know that you've suffered this same fate, that you have been attacked for your faith. Those days have got to be over in the United States of America. And I want to tell you that I am sorry for the fact that I was sucked into that narrative, and I stand with you today to fight against that, for sure and forever in the United States of America. That is kind of what what I love about Donald Trump and becoming a Republican in this era where he is willing to constantly sit down and say, okay, that's a difference. I'll make a change. That's not what I thought. I'll change how I'm talking. And he's like this. I mean, you've talked to him and you say he had you in the motorcade. I mean, it's funny because I called him after the latest assassination attempt, and I called him and I said, you know, I just wanted to make sure you know we're praying for you, we've got your back, we support you, sir. And he's like, let me tell you about your race. So it's not about him, right? Let me tell you about your race from the last time and what you have to change going forward. But he's constantly thinking about someone else. He's constantly thinking about what you need. He's not thinking about himself. I think that's the unique thing. And when I walked in here, someone mentioned that he's different. He's not a politician. He'll sit down and talk to you, and he's not arrogant. He's not telling you. He's listening. You should be looking for leaders like the mayor here, who is listening, who's a servant, as a doctor, who is telling you, I know what you need, and I want to serve you in the right way. This is a new political era in the United States of America. It is no longer about people telling you how you have to live. It is about them serving you and you telling them what you need, and that should be the bare minimum from government. This state will be the deciding factor in just 2 days. And as much as I'm like, oh, this election is finally here, I still am nervous because I don't know what's going to happen. We are that tight right now. But this community, absolutely. That's why coming here today, being welcomed here today is so important to me. Because I see a new Michigan in the future. I see a Michigan that is about love, it is about acceptance, it is about togetherness. And I will say, last night I went to my church where my pastor was talking about what the two parties are like today. And he didn't say names. He was very good about keeping that out of it. He said, but I will say that I've seen this sign in people's yard that says, there is no hate here. He said, but I might not agree with those people on certain things. And in that case, they won't talk to me. There's no sitting down and having that discussion anymore. It really struck me because I think that this community especially has been welcoming to me in that situation where you didn't agree with me on something and yet you didn't shut me out. You didn't say you wouldn't speak to me. You actually welcomed me into your community, sat me down and said, let me tell you about us. And you changed who I am because of that. That's the future of politics in the United States of America. There is no hate, but love for America means we all have to come together. And so when I look at Donald Trump as a candidate, I look at him from the perspective of a mom of 4 girls. And I look at this country and I say, who's being hurt the most in this country right now? And oftentimes it's women. Having this open border allows people to come in with a criminal background, and we know they have a criminal background. We know they are owned by the cartels, and we know that the cartels know exactly where they are when they come into this country, even though we may not. But if you look at who they harmed time and time again, it's women who have been raped. It's women who have been killed. It's women who can no longer walk safely on their college campuses because we have people we don't know in the country. We have unvetted people who have come into this country. Overdoses. There is a real lack of resources for families who have drug-addicted people in their family.
My son died from overdose.
Well, we have a person in our family who died of an overdose. That's the thing. It's touched so many people, and yet the border remains open. And when you ask her what she will do about it, she says there's nothing I could see that we would have changed. How can that be? Does she not see the families that have suffered? And there just doesn't seem to be that connection or that understanding. I sort of love the fact that Donald Trump has been willing to sit down and have these long-form interviews because you can tell he's got all of this right here. It's constantly whirling through his head how to solve all of these issues. When you hear her have an interview, you get the same talking points you got in the debate. After that debate, I had a lot of people go, oh man, I mean, she came back with this and this and this, and I'm like, yes. And since that debate, every answer has been, well, I grew up in a middle-class family. But it's all the same talking points. And so, you know, like a good prosecutor, she learned her case, she studied the statements that she wanted to make, and that she wanted to present to the jury, and she's been presenting them. Unfortunately, this isn't a criminal case, and we're not a jury. We want her to serve us, and she doesn't know how, because she doesn't live it. It's not in her heart. But I believe my experience with Donald Trump is that he does. And I think that's your experience as well. And when he talks about the global stage, he talks about peace. This, I think, has hit our state harder than any other state, because we have people who have lost people on both sides of this war, whether it is in the Middle East or in Eastern Europe. Same situation. People have lost people on both sides. Donald Trump, when he was in office, I think this is such a stark difference. He was signing peace treaties. Have we ever seen this before? The Democrat Party is signing bombs. And I said this a few weeks ago. I was at an event where there was a group of Harris people there, and I went over to them and I said, hey, we all sat together through this whole event, and you know, we got along. Maybe we're not as far apart as we think. And they were like, no. Let me tell you why you need to make sure you don't vote for this man. And they went through all of this, and I said, but you know, I think that we're at a point now where we really need world peace. We really need that person who's going to start talking about peace and togetherness and stop this. Said, if you're funding war, war continues.
Why?
Oh, no, we're not the party of war. I said, no, I agree that you weren't.
This chick?
At a point in time, you weren't. But I said, you have to admit that Donald Trump signed the Abraham Accords. And Josh Shapiro last week signed bombs. And they said, no, that video wasn't true. And then one of the women said, actually, I think that Josh Shapiro did sign those bombs. And the other woman, oh, no, that can't be. And I said, but the women and children you just told me about that you care so much about, those bombs will be dropped on women and children. It's one thing to say we're going to make sure that people are supplied with what they need to keep them secure, but diplomacy will happen at the same time. That's not happening. There is no conversation. As long as we continue to send bombs, there will continue to be war. When are we going to start talking about peace? It was amazing. At the end of this conversation, we talked for a long time. At the end of this conversation, the one lady said, so what's your name? And I was like, ooh, kind of felt like they knew that already. I said, Tudor. And she goes, not Tudor, Dixon. And I'm like, don't know a lot of Tudors, but. I said, actually, that's why I didn't lead with that. Yes, it is Tudor Dixon. And her jaw hit the table. She said, I hated you. And I was like, I know. And then she looked at me, she goes, but you're actually a real person. And I thought, this is what we need to do. We need to start sitting down together. Because I will tell you that in that moment, in that 40 minutes, I learned things from them too. I learned the reasons that they support certain things, and it changed my heart about how they see things. But unless we come together and talk and have those conversations, we will stay divided, and the United States of America cannot be the divided states of America. And I really think it's beautiful to see that it is this community that will make that decision. It is this community that will come together and say, we will choose how this country moves forward. And I don't think that you're looking at a Republican or a Democrat anymore, because you have a Republican who has brought so many people together. When you see a Trump and a Kennedy together, you know this is a different party.
Peace.
Yes, peace, exactly. Peace going forward, safety, security, low taxes. Look at the state of Michigan. These EV mandates. Now you're seeing that we're going to have the lightning plant shut down. Right between November and January, we're going to have all of these people out of work. What is that? What caused that? You guys know what caused that. Mandates. Imagine saying, we can't do this anymore because it's not healthy for the climate. We don't have a real solution. Regardless, we're going to take away the only thing you have to get around town. It's unreasonable to think that you are going to make that move before we're ready. I think we all want to move toward a cleaner environment. We all want to move toward a cleaner climate. But we have to do it in a way that doesn't risk our security and our energy security and our job security. And in the state of Michigan, the job security has been harmed here more than any other state. And guess what? As these EV mandates have gone into place from Kamala Harris and from the people here in Michigan that have pushed these, that has given the car companies the right to say, we have to build new factories, but they're not building them here. So all of the union workers in the state of Michigan are getting laid off. And they're going to Tennessee, and they're going to Indiana, and they're going to Kentucky, and there's no one stopping them. That has to stop now. We've got to protect our jobs. We need energy security, we need job security, we need national security. And that's something that I'm not hearing on the Democrat side, but I'm hearing from Donald Trump. I believe that the team around him will be serving you incredibly well. And because we have such a strong connection with that team, we are right here on the ground to sit down anytime. Anytime somebody in your community says, I don't like what you said, I don't like how you're handling this, you just call. So I want you to know that you are loved. People want to serve you. They want to take care of you. Donald Trump, when he tells you that he is going to serve you well, he means it. The person that you see, this big bombastic person on TV, that is who he is, but he is also someone who deeply, deeply cares and loves people. He is willing to take a phone call at any time too. I mean, that's the beauty of it. It is so funny that you call his number and he just picks up. I'm like, you would think that there's so many people that you have to go through that he would not, and he's just like, hey Tudor, how are you? And I'm like, this is so surreal, right? But that's who he is. There are so many people that would not be like that. The people here who are choosing Donald Trump, you are making the right choice. And I just thank you from the bottom of my heart for being open to that decision. I thank you for all the work that you have done to knock doors and to talk to people. And I just say, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of us building this state back and making this state the leading state in the United States. But it could only happen with your community. So I thank you so much for what you've done here. I thank you for giving me a chance in 2022. I ask that you would continue to allow us to talk, to sit down, to plan for the future, because the future is bright when we are together and united, and Donald Trump will bring a United States of America back. Thank you all. Thank you for having me today. And I would say to you, if you have any questions, if there's anything that you want to talk about, I mean, we're here to chat, so just throw them out there.
Any questions?
And anybody have any questions?
I do.
Yeah.
Are you gonna put them?
I think this is the TV, so we're just yelling. That was actually a big question. Can you make the Lions win? Look, that's out of our control.
Yeah, but how many points are they? You're going to help a lot.
Let's say Michigan is winning right now. Let's just keep Michigan winning. All the teams, everything. So I've been asked multiple times if I will run again, and I will just say I'm looking at it seriously, and we'll see, and we will team up with everybody that we can to make this state great again. Anyone else? Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, thank you for coming. And as you said, and you mentioned in your speech about the loyalty, I think most of us turn to the Republican Party because they talk about the national security, as we consider the country as home. Cannot let any strain come without any check. And we heard there is more than 20 million people they came and paid in term. This something is crazy. So as citizen here, I think all the Arab, although most of the Arab, they are ready to hold their responsibility in this time. And my question, it's about the Republican Party in Michigan. How was your experience in 22 and why they lost the power? Because I think Snyder, he governor of the Michigan two terms, and how you plan for the next, how they plan, if you have any idea about the Republican Party in Michigan for 24, for 26.
For 26. So I don't know what the Republican Party has planned for 26 right now. I think they're still in the midst of what they're getting accomplished in 24. In 22, I will say that I think there was a lot of disarray in the Republican Party. There was not a ground game. We did not have the support of a ground game at that time. There were a lot of changes happening in the Republican Party at that time, and so I see it a ground game that is so different in 2024, and I think that there is a really strong chance that that ground game gets even better in 26. I think that all across the country, there was a shift in how elections were run. There is a shift with digital outreach. There's a shift with the ground game. I think Democrats were much better at getting door to door, making sure they had the people, getting out the message that they wanted to get out through cell phones, through connected TVs, through mailers, but that face-to-face contact as well. That was still not there in 22. In 24, I think Republicans have really seen there is a way to get that together, and with Elon Musk and the America PAC, I will say we've had door knockers and we've never had that before. I live in a pretty strong Republican area and we've had that. So I think that there's a huge change in 26 from even 24. And I think that after we've done this in 24 with the door knocking and the mailers and the digital ads, just this change that we've seen this year will help us gauge what we have to do in 26. Because it didn't happen in 22. So once we see what the results are, once we see what the results are on election day, or whenever we see them, because Jocelyn Benson says we won't see them until Wednesday.
Wow.
Yeah. Once we see those results, we're going to pick through every district, every state rep, every race, and how it went, and what that looked like, what the context looked like, and then we will gauge what we need to do in 26. But we're much more organized, and much stronger, and honestly, that's because of people like you as well, coming to us and helping us. We just didn't have that support before. So I do think 26 looks totally different than 22.
Well, my name is Naji, and first of all, thanks for coming visiting us here in Hamtramck. My question is this. So one of the main reasons why I supported Trump from the very beginning was the idea that we want to put America first, meaning that Americans are like suffering, many different things are going on, and we're not actually solving our problems here at home. And yet at the same time, we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars overseas. And so to me, it makes a lot of sense. We need to take care of our own people here in the United States. And my question to you, Tudor, is this. Why do you think it's so controversial when you say America first? To me, just common sense. We live in America, so we want America first. If I lived in China, I would say, yeah, China first. Why is that so controversial with the media and the Democrats and everything else? I don't understand it.
Well, I think that the media... I think that the media and the Democrats, they want a globalist society. And so they believe in no borders. They believe in open borders. They have tried to convince the American people that this is bigoted to say that you have to have a border, even though every country, every strong country in the world has a border and takes care of its own people. I mean, if you look, I think that's changed a little bit in the past year, because suddenly Governor Abbott and Governor DeSantis started saying, okay, if you want to be a sanctuary city, then you take on the people that are coming across the border. And when they went into New York City, and the New Yorkers realized This is taking all the resources from our kids who want to go out and play football, and it's taking resources from our schools. And ultimately, once it started impacting their children, they said, well, I guess I understand what national security means now. I guess I understand what it means to vet people and bring them in through an immigration process. Now, I personally feel that we can improve our immigration process. And if you look at, like even Governor Stitt in Oklahoma, he was saying, I believe that I should be able to make the decisions of how I bring people in because we need certain workers here, we need workers there. It's the same in Michigan. But it doesn't mean an open border. It doesn't mean putting us at risk. This idea that we shouldn't be America first it's a mind trick to get people to be like, oh, that's nationalism, that's bigoted. But America first doesn't necessarily mean also that puts other countries last. You have to remember that America first means if you are doing business in China and you're heavily invested in China, and that's putting us at risk, which is what we saw after COVID with a lot of our pharmaceuticals and a lot of our stuff that is coming in from China, that diversifying to a safe country, to a country that is an allied country, doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be that you bring all of your manufacturing back right away, but it means you have to be thinking of American safety first. But also, if you look at some of the things that we're doing with China, I mean, we've always said that we will not allow companies to use slave labor. We will not allow human rights violations. And I think we need somebody in the White House that is going to look at those things and say, well, this isn't America first. We're literally putting children in danger in other countries, and wake people up to the realities of what having our corporations fully invested in an adversarial country means. So I just think there's not a great understanding of what America first is like national security. Protect your own. America first is taking care of your veterans. And we see so many great corporations and organizations that are taking care of our veterans, and yet the VA is not where it should be. You know, so these next 4 years of Donald Trump will just be the start of what it means to make the country great again. Take it back to what the Constitution says, and the Constitution says focus on the country. You know, and then extend yourself when you can, help other countries. I think that's where you will see Donald Trump, but it's just like anything else that they use to make it sound like there's something nefarious, you know? If you're a Christian nationalist. If you are America first, you're a nationalist. You know, they want to scare people. They've been effective scaring people. I mean, scaring people with that, scaring people with abortion. They don't run on policies. That's why Kamala Harris has her few statements that she makes for her jury. You know, she doesn't run on policies, she runs on fear. Same thing that we saw in 22 in Michigan. They ran on fear, but we never got to say what we would love to do for the people here. I mean, look, take Detroit, for example. In Detroit, in July, we saw the largest mass shooting we've ever seen in the history of Michigan. The worst mass shooting we've ever seen. The governor never mentioned it. The attorney general never mentioned it. The kids can't read. You've got 5% of the kids in Detroit public schools that can read. People have always said you can't take one thing you can't take from people is their education, but you can if you never provide it. So when Donald Trump said that about Detroit, I know that a lot of people were upset about it. But I think he's focusing on the fact that there are areas that are so unsafe and unreasonably unsafe that we have got to take care of. There are kids that do not have a future. We know they don't, because if you can't read, we know that your percentage chance of ending up in jail is so much higher. And yet I saw someone comment on this on Facebook, and I was like, that is so profound, because he said, well, let's face it, if you're never willing to admit the problem, you'll never have to fix it. And I thought, why isn't America first making sure our kids can read? Why are we focused on giving everyone in the country, or everybody in the state, a free lunch, when there are so many kids that can afford lunch, instead of making sure that everybody in the state has free tutoring to get back on track from COVID, to make sure that their future is secure from reading? I just look at this and I think there's so many opportunities for us to lift our own communities up, but that comes from government stepping out of the way.
I'm Councilman Hamtramck here. My question is, from me to everybody in this room, maybe we made a big mistake in 2020, 2 years ago. We don't choose you, we are disconnected that time. Now we are flipped, and we know the reality. I hope you are coming in future, and we will support you. My question is that you're asking me about the people, a lot of companies, they are taking the people coming from the border. We are in an immigrant area. Most of people, I'm telling on behalf of the people, their thought, we can stop those illegal immigrants, and we can process our legal immigrant on the application, like 15 years, 20 years, those people are there. I have a very humble request to you. I hope we are optimistic, Donald Trump will be the president. On every single way, we can bring this message to Donald Trump and do the legal process. The people who is in applied legal way, they are coming there, check the background, and let them to bring here. We can stop the border, and we can manipulate those things.
That's the thing,
Thank
that's
you.
what I'm saying. I mean, there should be a better immigration.
And I welcome you, our small town. And in future, I hope we are not neglected like the one we had before, right now, from the state and upper level. This is the reason we flip. And I hope you talk to my mayor. He knows very well in our situation. So we have one Trump will be the power, and he will be our state level. So don't forget about Hamtramck. Please remember us and work with us. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Honestly, I do believe that there is so much opportunity and I don't know how that works. On the federal level, I think we have a much better chance with Donald Trump to update that. Obviously, there's a conversation of judges and how do you get all these cases heard. But how can you continue to let people flow in if you have people on that waiting list? To your point, that's so critical. And these are not people, I think what a lot of Americans don't understand is these are people who have invested in the United States. These are people who have come to the United States and said, I want to put my business here. I want to achieve the American dream. I want to invest in this country. I want to be an American. And that is what people need to hear. There are people on that list that are not running across the border. There are people on that list who say, I will do what it takes to become an American. And that's what this country has always been about. So yes, if we can help streamline that process, 100%, that's what needs to happen.
Thank you.
And I was told last question, I'll take one more really quick.
Yes, I'm Paris. So you talked about fear and how always Democrats are using it to scare people. This has always been their strategy for the past elections. They always, and I remember, I want to remind people that the Islamophobia, it was led by Democrats media from Washington Post, New York Times, CNN, all of them. They don't who, the fake news. They don't always kept telling people about how bad we are, we're terrorists. They did it for years, and then and people here we're immigrants. A lot of us, they get scared. They don't know the reality, and there was no connection between Republicans and. So right now, when I'm thinking why the Republican Party doesn't focus on media, because I see all the media power is on Democrats with liberals from Hollywood, New York Times, the biggest channels. Do you have any plans to focus on this, to expand on it?
Yeah, so one of my dear friends started the Midwesterner.news here in the States so that we could have some actual truth being told on the state level, and I've seen a lot of groups that have started media companies in different states so there can be truth on the state level. I think it's very hard to go up against the Washington Posts of the world and the MSNBCs of the world, but I do believe that there has been an awakening to that. And it's funny because I think last week somebody posted, we've told the American people they need to vote this way. Why is this race so close? And I'm like, that is so heartwarming to me, because that means they're losing their power. That means that the way they've tricked us all in the past is wearing off. And we should all have a great morning that we were able to be divided by the mainstream media. And that's why meetings like this are so important, so we can actually talk to each other instead of having the media tell us how we should feel about each other. Talk to each other and figure out what we all need, because we are all Americans, all Americans. So, and with that, I say thank you guys so much. We're headed to Governor Nome and Congresswoman Hamtramck are coming to Michigan, and they're going to Holland, so we're going to head over there. But I just wanted to say again, thank you for letting me come to your place and talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Made it quick.
Come here.
Yeah, I think.
What are you gonna take?
All right, we gotta. Here, let's. I should go down that way. So
Please,
here, Sarah.
my friend. My friend.
Tudor, Atlanta.
Alright, I got time for just a couple more.
We're gonna be all day taking pictures.
Why don't you push everybody down?
Can you guys go down? Hey guys.
Take one picture.
Guys, we're gonna take picture all the way over there. Please, you wanna take pictures all the way over there?
We're gonna put everybody down.
We're gonna take pictures all the way over there.
After the election, we'll make sure we stay in touch. He's the best. No, that is her boss. Hey, hold on a second. I gotta get her out. We gotta take a picture and then I gotta get her out of here. I'm sorry. Sorry. Do you have a minute? Can we go down just a minute?